Good morning, I'm Lieutenant Shannon McPhee. I'll be briefing on an analysis of Mustafa Kamal's use of mission command at Gallipoli. This brief is unclassified. The Battle of Gallipoli was fought during World War I between the Allies and Central Powers over the Straits of Dardanelles. This waterway was a major strategic terrain feature for the Allies, as it would potentially open a second front, which would help to eliminate the stalemate on the Western Front, which had gone into trench warfare. And it would also reopen supply routes to Russia, which had been closed when the Ottomans joined the Central Powers. It also would allow for the potential capture of Constantinople, which could effectively remove the Ottomans from the entire war. The Allies had previously attempted one naval assault on the area, but the naval minefields in the Narrows, which are depicted on the map, caused the battleships to firstly be decimated by the mines and secondly become sitting ducks for the forts that are all along the Narrows there. So the Allies determined they needed a successful amphibious attack in order to take out the forts and clear the minefields. The Allies began this attack on 25 April 1915. This video will describe the landing and initial fighting on the Gallipoli Peninsula.
The intended landing site of Garbateti at a cove instead. The Garbateti landings will become known as the Anzac Cove landings, in honour of the Australian and New Zealand troops who fought valiantly against the determined Ottoman-Turkish defenders. After the landing, the Allies could not progress as trench warfare wouldn't formed like it had done on the Western Front. The summer heat and the dysentery epidemic were unbearable, and swarms of flies hung around the corpses. Hamilton ordered an attack on Suvla Bay in August, involving the landing of 63,000 Allied troops. They were to link up with Anzacs at Anzac Cove and break the stalemate. But a decision meant that the Ottoman Empire would reinforce the position, and by August 10th, an attack led by Mustafa Kamal and captured Suvla Bay.
So what this video describes is the initial fighting, which was a lot of back and forth. So the Turks would advance slightly, and then the Allies would get reinforcements so they could advance, and then the Turks would get reinforcements so they could advance. This kept happening until Mustafa Kamal ended up taking advantage of several instances where the Allies hesitated in either reinforcing or moving their positions, which allowed the Turks to get the upper hand in the battle. My thesis is that Mustafa Kamal successfully utilized the principles of mission command, including creating shared understanding, building cohesive teams through mutual trust, accepting prudent risk, and using mission orders in order to achieve victory at Gallipoli. Mustafa Kamal centered his command philosophy around the mission command principle of creating shared understanding. He spoke concisely and issued effective mission orders, even though sometimes they were extremely blunt, like the one on the slide here. I don't order you to attack, I order you to die. In that time, others will come and take our place. He was saying that all troops needed to understand that they had to hold those positions until they either died or until they were relieved by reinforcements. If the Turks lost any ground in this area, it could mean that the entire army would get overrun. Even though he said things like this and was extremely blunt, he always led by example, so he was constantly fighting alongside these troops that he was informing to do these things. He constantly was on the battlefield observing and gathering intelligence. He would even disguise himself as a lower enlisted in order to get closer to the Anzac lines, especially when they were doing things like removing bodies from no man's land. He was often seen down there trying to get closer to the other lines. It was often said he fought with binoculars, so he would be seen in pictures such as this, where he's kind of standing out in the middle of open ground, just trying to get the best vantage point. And he would often create makeshift command posts like this one here, where there's literally just a tree that he's standing behind, and from there he's dispatching messages up and down the lines of command. He maintained that collaboration and dialogue very well, so he always kept his subordinates informed as well as his higher commands. There are journal writings of lieutenants and soldiers in his division that demonstrate their understanding of not only their task and purpose, but also of the entire division picture. So lieutenants at the company level are saying things like, we need to hold this ground so that the division can do this and the division can do that, which is extremely impressive for this time period where they didn't have a lot of technology to communicate that kind of thing. This constant communication was a large foundation of his ability to build cohesive teams through mutual trust. So he always kept his subordinate higher commands informed, like I was saying, and collaborated on this intelligence. So he took information from lower commands also. He wasn't just forcing that down. He implemented rigorous training exercises, which not only helped to build competence, but it also built trust between new units that were being integrated with the constant reinforcements that were coming in. It also built esprit de corps, and he gave second chances to units that might be underperforming, which showed his confidence in his subordinate leaders, as well as restored faith between units. So if someone wasn't fighting so well the day before, they would go back through these training exercises and demonstrate their competence, and then their sister units kind of had more confidence in their ability. He constantly reaffirmed his professionalism, competence, and presence, creating a shared confidence between himself and his subordinate commands. He had extremely high military intelligence and practiced it constantly. He would consistently predict military movement and act in order to act against that movement. He focused on troop morale whenever possible and was always very, very in touch with his troops' morale and their need for rest, things like that, and planned around it. Like I said before, he was always down in the trenches with the troops. He was even shot in the chest at one point, but the bullet was deflected by his pocket watch, and when that happened, his first concern was, don't let the other soldiers know. We want to keep their morale high. Because of his understanding of the battlefield and his trust in his units, he was able to be confident in his ability to constantly accept prudent risk. So at the very start of the battle, he was waiting for orders when he heard the Allies were invading. And when those orders never came, he decided to move his entire division to the front lines to provide reinforcement. This ended up being an extremely decisive action because the Central Powers there were actually failing and being pushed back by the Allies. So his reinforcements allowed for the Central Powers to hold that line and keep the Allies from overrunning the peninsula. He's an extremely knowledgeable commander and hyper-aware of his surroundings. He always, arriving on site, analyzed the key terrain and could see the immediate pros and cons of any feature. He allowed his information flow to inform his vast knowledge, so again, communicating up and down those chains of command. And him being in tune with his troops allowed him to plan and accept those prudent risks and know what he could do and couldn't do with the status of his troops at that time. He always acted in absence of orders and created those opportunities. He didn't wait for one to fall in his lap, which was how he ended up getting the advantage over the Allies. After deciding on his course of action, he would use mission orders to pass that action down and communicate his action to his subordinate commands. This was actually pretty rare for the time, but his entire division used mission orders all the way down to the company level. They were extremely quickly disseminated and very detailed, and most importantly, they were standardized. So all of his reports and mission orders were extremely standardized, unlike those of the Allies, which allowed for much clearer communication, and they could be efficiently understood and then acted upon. His orders were one of the major reasons that his division was one of the lowest casualty receiving divisions in any of these battles. They were extremely descriptive, which again enhanced that shared understanding. They always talked about the enemy situation and the friendly situation, and also constantly noted achievements of his troops from previous days. So he would kind of give a shout out to, hey, this company did really well yesterday and stuff like that, which boosted morale of that company and also kind of created that mutual trust again. If you knew you were going to be fighting next to that company that was so hot yesterday, then you kind of had more confidence that you were going to be in good hands that next day. So overall, the Ottomans won this battle, and it was thanks to their understanding of the battlefield, their trust in their subordinate commands and higher commands, and because they did take advantage of every opportunity to advance following Kemal's mission orders. The Allies evacuated Gallipoli after 259 days of fighting, and this laid the foundation for Mustafa Kemal's influence that would eventually allow him to become father of Turkey through several following military campaigns. We can learn from this battle and Kemal's use of mission command that shared understanding and mutual trust allow for better communication and broaden knowledge on the battlefield, which helps commanders to understand the risk that they're taking and allows them to make better decisions and provide clear orders. These both allow for effective execution of orders, reinforcement of trust, and continuity of understanding. In conclusion, Mustafa Kemal used these 4 principles of mission command, and the shared understanding he created enabled mutual trust, calculation of risk, and useful and effective mission orders, which allowed the Ottoman to achieve victory. The big takeaway from this is that communication and trust are key foundations to any commander's success. Any of your questions?